I need to stop. All right, guys, what is up? My name is Seth. I am one half of the Orlanduo. Welcome back to our channel. If you don't know, Carissa is the other half of the Orlanduo. She is not in this video right now, but she will be in other videos, obviously. Today, we're going to switch it up and do like a DIY for you guys. I actually got inspired by all the like end of the line, like all the COVID signage that you see in the parks nowadays. If you guys have gone recently, all the lines are super long because of social distancing and things like that. So I got inspired by seeing like one of the signs that they hold when they're just like, this is the end of the line that's a mile away from the entrance of the ride. So I just wanted to make like a little wall plaque, something that looks just like one of those. And I really like the one from Rise of the Resistance and Galaxy's Edge. So I'm going to show you guys how I kind of DIY'd and made that here in our house today. It's going to be for our new apartment in Orlando, so you'll see it hanging up eventually when we do apartment tours and things like that. But for today's purposes, I'm just going to show you how I did it. So all the materials and things that you guys will need, if you guys want to do this on your own, will be listed down in the description. As always, any link to any file that I have will be listed down there as well. Obviously, you guys do not have to recreate this at home. If you guys just want to watch for entertainment purposes, obviously, feel free to. But if you guys want to do the project, all the stuff will be listed below. Feel free to ask me questions. I will try to do step by step in this video. And if you didn't understand anything, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, yeah, I think that's all. We're going to get straight into the video. Let's go. All right, guys, it is Seth, like I said, back at you with this video. I am going to show you guys how I made this sign. So all the materials will be listed below. If you guys want to follow along, feel free to. All these materials I picked up at a local craft store. I use Michael's, but you can use whatever store is local for you. So we're going to start off with some craft like acrylic paint. These bottles are super cheap. Do not break the bank. You will not need to. We also need some matte white spray paint, some all-purpose brushes, whatever you guys have lying around if you want to buy a little cheap pack. So we have these paint pens here. Sea sponges or natural sponges, whatever you want to call it. Then we have this like wood plaque that you guys found in the back of like the Michael's section where all the wood stuff is. We have a spray bottle. You're actually going to need two of these, but I will list that below. And if you guys don't have a Cricut, you guys can use a xacto and a straight edge and a cutting mat. You guys want to always make sure you start by prepping your surface with craft paper. You can get this from the dollar store. And once you do that, you want to make sure you give it a once over with this matte white paint. This basically just helps any paint we put on top not soak through into the paint, which makes you use more paint. So basically just gives you a nice little base to start with. And we're going to use the colors white, brown, and yellow, or dark yellow as they say, but it just looks yellow to me. So now you guys are going to see me mix these colors. Do not come for my paint tray. I am a model maker by day, so I'm terrible at cleaning out my trays, and that's what it looks like. I ended up making actually like way more paint than you guys see me make here, so you will need to make more. Just heads up. So you're going to start with white, and you can always add, but you cannot take away, so you need to casually add this brown in. We're looking for like a beigey color. I will put the reference image up on the screen. But we're going to do like beigey base color. These are the colors I use. Feel free to use whatever colors you have around to make. There's a lot of ways to make different colors, so use whatever colors work for you. And like I said, it is easier to add than it is to take away. So you always start with less color than you need, and you will drop and add and mix as you go along, which is what I did. If you guys want to test the color, you can do it like on an index card or anything you have lying around, a little piece of paper. Just want to swatch the color on how you would swatch it on whatever you're painting. And then use like a hair dryer, blow dryer, whatever to blow it, to dry it really quick. And you can see what that color is going to dry out to, because most colors do dry darker in general than they are in liquid form. So you just want to keep that in mind as you mix the color. All right, now that we have our colors mixed, they do look fairly white on the screen. I end up darkening this color up with like a little spray. You'll see it a little bit later on. But go ahead and base your board in this color. I kind of just scumble the color on to begin with, which you'll see here. And then later on, I go in and kind of smooth it all out, yeah, there we go. That's it. That's what we needed. That's the ticket. So you want to make sure that color is on very smooth. Also, make sure you hit the edges like that. You can dab it on and then smooth it out later, but you want to make sure you get paint on all the surfaces. And now we're going to cut to, this step kind of happened. I actually made this template and it will be linked down below if you guys want to use it, because there is no clear template for this, guys, because I'm doing this for the first time. So I had to make this on my own. But yeah, I am setting it up basically a Cricut cut file for me to cut a template on some cardstock that I can use to then trace onto the board. Yeah, we're trying to have fun, guys. We're not trying to do other work. So I'm going to leave that file down there for you guys to use. If you want to use it, you just have to scale it to whatever size plaque that you have. And then if you don't have a Cricut, you can print it out and cut it out by hand. But you guys will see here that I'm going to use my Cricut to actually cut this out and make my life a little bit easier. So here I'm scaling it to the size that I need. I am printing on a standard sheet of paper, which is 8.5 by 11. So I'm scaling that text to make sure it fits within those dimensions on that piece of paper. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because you can cut the piece of paper to be perfect and help you out after you get it cut on the Cricut. So we're just worried about making sure all the letters and things are inside of the dimensions so it gets cut out properly by the Cricut. So once I have that, I'll lock it in place. And now you guys are going to see me select my material. Cricut has the way it's set up. You just select whatever size piece of paper you're working on, and it will show you this little outline to make sure you cut basically anything outside that red line you cannot cut outside of. So if it's in the blue line, you're good to go. And after that, I move on over to my Cricut, and you guys can see me set up the paper. Here is the paper on the piece of, the Cricut grip thing, whatever you want to call it. We load it in, we hit the Cricut button to start cutting, and voila, we start cutting the paper. Like I said, guys, if you don't have a Cricut, feel free to print this out, scale it however you need to, and then you use a xacto knife very carefully to cut it out. And here you guys can see the finished result. Very nice, very clean. And this is what it looks like when you pull it off of the paper. Keep in mind, you want to keep those little inserts of like the letters that have holes. So like a D and an O and an R. You want to make sure you keep those inserts and the resistance symbol. All right, we're gonna move on to distressing this color. We're gonna start with some black. We're also gonna need some water. Doesn't need to be in a spray bottle, you just need water. And we're gonna do our natural sea sponges. All right, guys, I forgot to film this step, but basically you wanna do like a ratio of like 2:1 or like 3:1 water to paint. We're basically gonna be making like a diluted paint, so we can then use the natural sponge to give us like a distressed texture, give us some texture on there. So we're gonna start by wetting the plaque itself. I'm gonna take that spray bottle and just give it a light mist. This is gonna help the paint kind of thin out and not immediately like attach to the board itself. Basically gonna give you some more time to like move it around. It doesn't become permanent immediately when you put it on. Because as you can see, when I put it on, it looks very heavy. It looks very like it's a lot. But then we're gonna come in with another sponge with just some water, which you see here. And we're gonna take that and kind of thin it out and then disperse it out a bit. So as you can see, that sponge is just helping move that color along and get it, just, you know, at this point, just use your artistic ability. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're having fun, guys, so you gotta remember, just do it however you like. This is the method I went for. It's actually a little bit more texture than you see on the reference image, which is totally fine, which is what I wanted. So yeah, you just play around, move it around. There's really no right and or wrong way to do this, so you guys just have fun. And actually, if you spray water on top afterwards, it helps the things that you put on top to thin out. So I sprayed some more water, and now I'm using a brush with 2 brushes. I loaded some of the paint onto one brush, and I'm using the other one to tap onto like the ferrule of the brush. I think that's what you call it. Yeah, just to tap on the other brush. It's going to give you a nice little spatter pattern. And what happened is, because I sprayed the water down before, it's actually going to disperse those dots out. So it's just going to kind of wash it out a bit. It won't be as dark. So just play around with that. You really can't go wrong. Just have fun. Alright guys, and I'm getting you like a little close-up image. This is what it looks like when it's still wet right now. That's kind of, you see the water start to kind of fuse and drag the paint and drip it down. It's just a nice little texture. That's just a nice little technique when you're distressing. And this is what it looks like when it's all said and done, when it's all dry. Now you guys are going to see me measuring out and finding center on this template that I cut out on the Cricut. Now you guys are going to see me finding center on the plaque itself. So you want to do that on the top and on the bottom as well. And then I'm just checking to make sure it looks all good, all fine and dandy. It's looking pretty good from here. Want to make sure you also line it up horizontally as well, so left to right, which you guys did not see me do, but I did it. Trust me. And now use the little piece of tape, a little scotch tape to tape it down. And now I'm going to trace, just trace the template onto the board. This is much easier because I'm using cardstock, so I'm going to speed it up so you guys can see, but the cardstock really holds its shape, but you don't want to apply too much pressure, just lightly go around. Take your time doing this, there's no rush. It was a little harder for me to do because I was filming, but obviously if you're not filming, just get up close and just make sure you're taking your time to trace it out nicely so you won't have a harder time later on. Now you guys are going to see me use the middle parts of the letters themselves to actually get the proper alignment for the middle parts. I don't know if those are like a technical term for like the middle of letters. You know what I mean? So like the O. So use the O itself that we cut out to trace the middle of the O. And we're going to do that for all the letters and the symbol at the top as well. Here you can see I'm using the most outer rim to get that middle circle, and then I'm going to use the inner circle to get the symbol. So it's a process, but just think it out before you guys, take your time to think it out, however you guys have it cut out, whatever works for you. If you want to hand draw it, go for it. I mean, I could do it that way, but this was much easier in my opinion because I had the tools to do so. But you use whatever tools you have by any means to get to the result at the end. Alrighty, so I finished that up. I am taking off the template now. Be careful, you don't want to pull up that paint. So just take your time once again. Masking tape would probably be better, or like painter's tape, but I did not have that, so I had to use the Scotch. And here you can kind of zoom in, you can see the lines. They're not too heavy, not too faint, but you can see where they are. Now this is where I am doing the overlay, so I'm coming back with some burnt sienna and that yellow. You can also buy the burnt sienna at Michael's, wherever you need it. We just had it at our house, so I used it. And I'm actually going to use a spray bottle. This is why I say you need it too. I'm just going to mix straight in the bottle. We're going to put some burnt sienna and a little bit of that yellow in there. Hit it with some water and shake it up. Just making like a little overlay spray, I just wanted to give it a little bit more color. It was looking a little too pale even on the camera. So Carissa was like, yeah, add some color to it. So I took her suggestion. So here's my new spray bottle that we just had. Carissa uses it for her plants, but it sprays water, so it works. So we're gonna wet the surface, and then we're gonna hit it with that spray. And I kind of made the surface way more wet than I would in general, so that spray would thin out a lot and spread out. It also helps with the distressed nature of the look itself. So now that that's dry, we're gonna come in and add the border in. So you just need a straight edge ruler, metal ruler, whatever you have, and a pencil. I am marking a 1/4 inch in from the raised lip. So this plaque actually has like a lip that's a little higher than like the whole overall plaque. So from that line, I'm going a 1/4 inch in. I'm actually gonna wrap the blue all the way around the edge, so it'll look very nice when it's all said and done, but you'll see what I'm talking about. So you wanna mark a 1/4 inch, use your ruler, mark the straight lines. And you guys can obviously have whatever size and or shape plaque. This is the one I found that I liked a lot, but there's a bunch for you guys to choose from. So whatever size you have, use your best judgment to make the measurements according to that specific plaque. And here I was trying to be all fancy and use the ruler to give a 1/4 inch, but I said, you know what? We don't have time for that. So now you see me just freehanding it. I mean, I draw a lot, so this is very easy for me, but if you are not an artiste, you really don't have to be. Just take your time. It's all about just going slow and using your eye. All right, here comes the fun part. We are going to use our blue paint pen. And make sure you shake it up and get it started per the instructions on the piece, or the instructions on the sheet that you guys found that came with the pen. So using that paint pen, we are just going to trace our lines. What I use the paint pen is helps you get a clean edge basically. So it's going to help with those smaller letters and to just get a crisp line. I'm going to go back in with the color on top of it. This also, once again, like the spray paint earlier, acts as a base color for the blue. If you were to just go in straight with the blue paint, you would need a few layers because it's not a heavy body paint. That paint you get at Michael's, especially like the cheap acrylic one, it's going to take a few coats before you get a solid fill. So this paint pen really helped a lot to get like basically a base color and to get those crisp edges on the lines and things like that. And then I went back in later, which you will see, with a darker blue acrylic, and that only took one layer to cover and take it to the color that I wanted it to be. So here I'm zooming in. You can kind of see I filled everything in, but you can still see the gaps in the paint. So now we're gonna use this bright blue. Honestly, if I could go with a darker blue, I would, but I also didn't feel like mixing paint, so I just went with that. But you guys can find a darker blue there, but I went with that. And I went ahead and filled everything in with a little brush, and this is what it ended up looking like. So now I'm coming in with a little text that is at the top. There's some, I don't know if there's a name for this font that they use in Galaxy's Edge, but there's a language. If I know what it is, I'll put it on the screen. This is some cool script that goes around the resistance symbol. So I am just eyeballing that based on the picture. There was no clear picture, so I kind of just had to go for it. But if you want to do this, feel free to use my video as a reference, or if you find a clearer picture, use that. But honestly, you can just make up some lines. It really doesn't matter. It's an alien text. And then we want to come in with that metallic paint pen, and we're just going to trace over those lines we did with the pencil. And that pretty much wraps up this DIY, guys. And yeah, guys, that is all she wrote. This is pretty much the final product. I hope you guys enjoyed this project. It was very fun for me to do. I don't know why I said it like that, project. But yeah, I hope you guys had fun. Here's some cool clips for you guys to look at. Yeah, this project is very free, and you kind of can just do whatever you want to do, but doesn't it look like the sign that you see at the end of the line? I think it does. So yeah, that is all. I will see you guys in the outro. Alright guys, welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I had so much fun making this sign today. It really didn't even take me like that long. It took me about half the day max between letting things dry. Obviously, if you want to speed up drying times, feel free to use like a hair blow dryer. That will speed up paint times. But honestly, a lot of this stuff, you can probably do this whole project in a few hours and get it done. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's gonna go in our apartment. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing it, and yeah, otherwise, that's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Well, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. You know how it goes. If you want to follow us on our social medias, that stuff will be listed all down in the description below. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.